Hey guys, Marsing here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to talk about the EZA for AGL Gohan and INT Cell, and when they are going to finally come to global, because of course they came out earlier today on the JP side only. All the JP player base getting to have fun using these units now. Gohan definitely a top tier unit, potentially like arguably top 5. Cell is pretty good when he's transformed. I think people are underrating his pre-transformation. He's not like anything crazy, but he's definitely not terrible. But then post-transformation, man, he is a bit of a beast. So obviously these two EZAs, very hype. Now I made a tweet yesterday that got a lot of people super riled up. Admittedly, it probably wasn't worded the way it could have been like best put, but it's one of those things that the overall arch, I don't want to go into like a bunch of Twitter drama for this video, but like the overall point I was trying to make, because you guys know I'm an advocate for this eventually happening, but the overall point I was trying to make is basically if the games were synced, this wouldn't happen, right? Because everything would come out on both versions at the same time. A lot of people got very annoyed because obviously the way that this has been kind of marketed for both versions is that it is a shared celebration. However, they didn't specifically say anywhere that everything was going to come out on both versions at the same time. We have had shared celebrations in the past where Global did not get everything that JP got. And you could argue, we obviously don't know this for sure, but some of those things could have been taken out of those previous shared celebrations because of how it would have affected the global timeline, because the global timeline is always messed up compared to JP. So if we just sync the versions, none of this will ever happen again, but I guess it is what it is, right? So shared celebration. Now on the JP news, these appeared separately in the news as separate news items according to this like breakdown. I should have loaded up my JP to actually check so someone can confirm in the news, but they did not appear as part of an update where we get something like this that is the entire like New Year celebration. Okay, well, apparently that page isn't going to work, so let's look at the global one. I've got the global one up here actually. So the New Year's celebration, when we get a part 2 of a celebration, we get a big thing like this, right, where it shows you all of the login, all of the sales, everything. And if those EZAs had appeared like this in something that was like part 2 of the superhero celebration, then obviously it would have been perfectly understandable to think that they were going to come to global at the same time. But it was never announced anywhere specifically that that is what they were going to do, right? And it seems like, strangely enough, that they could be part of the New Year celebration for JP. Now, obviously, Global is having a New Year celebration as well, but it's not a synced celebration with JP. It's just the fact that that's what time of year it is, right? Both versions of the game are having a New Year celebration because it is New Year's. And even though some of the stuff might be the same, it doesn't necessarily mean that both the celebrations have to be the same. Now, obviously, people assumed that Gohan and Cell were EZAing as part of the superhero celebration because obviously it fits the theme of the movie, right? Obviously, it basically ends with Gohan versus Cell, just in a new iteration. So it's perfectly understandable why people assumed that this would be on both versions at the same time, but the thing you have to remember is they never specifically said that it was. And I think a lot of the time when the community gets really up in arms about certain things, I mean, Beast Gohan not being really Beast Gohan is another perfect example. It's because of expectations that the community created for themselves that were never specifically stated by the game. So obviously as a global main, I'm very disappointed that these guys aren't out on global yet. But there is still some glimmer of hope. So this morning we got this news update on Global. We've got the Super Strike revamp for Grandpa Gohan. We've got the EZA for Golden Frieza and Sorbet. New stage of Super Battle Road coming, which I believe is Giant 8 Power. And then we did get the update about the last stages of the Red Zone. This is quite interesting because there's 2 more stages, and I assumed that there would only be 1, and it would be against the Gammas. It'd be interesting if they gave each of them a stage each, considering they don't have a huge amount to work with in terms of what the enemies would be, right? Because it's not like they have a bunch of different forms. They have the free-to-play art, they have their unawakened arts. Maybe both of them you fight like the free-to-play art, the TUR art, and then both of them together in the last phase. Maybe both of the stages are like that, but they just have different abilities or something, I don't know. But 2 more stages are coming. There was also this little thing about the background music changing. Apparently this is just because in one of the Wicked Bloodline Red Zone stages on JP, it had the LR Golden Frieza OST, but obviously Global doesn't have him yet, so now that we are getting him, then apparently this is going to be updated. But nothing is obviously in the news here about Gohan or Cell. We can expect these to come in a few days, because normally these global teasers appear a couple of days before the content releases rather than like the day before. But something that we have to bear in mind, there's no entry for it in the news here. I tried scrolling down to check, and on this one it doesn't show it. It shows the previous maintenance that was before or around the time of the Gogeta and Broly, which was last week. But there is another maintenance which is going to take place tonight. Now, best case scenario, after the maintenance, we could have the Gohan and Cell Easy A literally live, because the maintenance is going to end at 8 AM my time, and events usually come out at 6:30, or if it's a shared event they usually come out at 8 AM. So the best case scenario is that when the maintenance ends, the Cell and Gohan Easy A's are just out. Now, I'm not sure obviously if that is going to be the case, but we could potentially see some info in the news about when they are going to come to Global. Because what you have to remember is, we know for a fact, and this is probably going to end up being right, this is Global's New Year celebration. Now, New Year celebration, the login bonus and everything, the celebration basically takes up the whole of January. The step up banner is up until the end of January, but then we have here the sales that started at the beginning of the year. These run until the 16th, or the morning of the 16th for me. Usually what this means is that new sales, because a new banner, are going to drop just after this. So this is Sunday night, depending on where you are in the US, or Monday morning for me. This is where we should see the release of the LR Golden Frieza banner, because this was teased by iSeriously on Twitter the other day. Unfortunately, I was out at the time and everybody else made videos, so I kind of missed the breaking news. But Golden Frieza has been essentially soft confirmed, right? Because when iSeriously tweets out something like that, it's usually 99.9% of the time is accurate, right? So Golden Frieza is essentially soft confirmed, and of course we got the blue Vegeta Easy A's, and then the news is showing us that we're getting this Easy A that came out with Golden Frieza as well. No mention of the LR Metal Cooler Army Easy A though, which personally I've been quite looking forward to. Like, they're a decent enough unit, but they got a huge buff with the worldwide celebration and the physical LR Metal Cooler, so maybe we will get them as well, and it's just not in the news yet, but that's obviously another thing that's completely MIA at the moment. So after the maintenance, depending on what is added into the files, we should get actual confirmation of Golden Frieza. We should get all the assets and everything else like that. Let's close this one. We get all the assets and everything for all of these guys. They should all be in there. And then potentially we will get information about Gohan and Cell. Now remember, this video is being recorded on the 12th of January. The maintenance ends the morning of the 13th for me. And then Golden Frieza is expected to release on the morning of the 16th. That leaves the whole weekend, essentially, where unless they decide to drop these earlier than the Golden Frieza banner, which usually the way Global does stuff is everything comes out all at the same time, right? So there's going to be basically nothing coming out over the weekend. Now, that is a fairly common occurrence for the way they release content, but obviously it would be very, very nice if they were actually going to drop the Gohan and Cell Easy A. They could drop potentially over the weekend, because the other thing that is completely missing from Global News update, there's been no data download, so it's not in the files, is the Easy A for this free-to-play Gohan. And the weird thing about this is the reason why we knew he was going to get an Easy A, because it was actually the global files that had his sticker effect in the files, not JP, like before when the data downloads happened. So because of that information on global, that's how we knew he was going to be getting an Easy A, but now his Easy A is out on JP but not out on global. So we're still waiting for this to come out as well. So I could see this and the Cell and Gohan Easy A dropping at the same time, but they are separate to whatever is going on with Golden Frieza. So once the maintenance is over, we will have a better idea, but sometime in the next 3 days we could see the release of the Cell and Gohan Easy A. But one final thing to make sure we are aware of is, remember, throughout the course of them releasing stuff for the superhero tie-in, collaboration, whatever you want to call it, the only 2 things that have released on both versions at the same time is the Cell Max Boss event and then the banners for LR Gohan and LR Piccolo. Everything else has been at different times, and you can see here the example, the Gamma 1 and 2 banners were a whole week separated. In fact, it's 8 days according to this, right? So it's very possible that with the Gohan and Cell Easy A's coming out today, which is the 12th again, these could not come out on global until the 19th or even the 20th if they're following the same thing they've done with the Gammas and them being a week separated. So obviously that would be very disappointing for global players. We want to get our hands on these units and use them now, but realistically we have no idea how long we could be waiting. Like I say, best case scenario, it's after the maintenance, or the maintenance is letting us know that it's going to be coming in the next couple of days. But worst case scenario, I mean, you got to remember, these Easy A's on JP are releasing, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the anniversary? So these could not release on global until 2 or 3 weeks before the anniversary. That would be the absolute worst case scenario for sure. So hopefully that is not going to be the case. But unfortunately, until we get the maintenance, that's where we're going to potentially get our first bit of major confirmation, because the maintenance is either going to have the Easy A's like in the news update ready to go telling us when they're coming out, or at least the data will be in the files so we can see when they're going to come out. So really at this point we are just waiting now for the maintenance to be over to see if anything is actually coming, and otherwise it's going to be a bit of a sad time on global, because we're going to be waiting a few days to get this stuff. New Super Battle Road stage. I mean, Super Battle Road, I'll always put out like the no item run on the first day. Not super difficult these days, not exactly exciting. Golden Frieza and Sorbet, will do a showcase for him, but not exactly the best unit. And then even Grandpa Gohan, like some of the Super Strike revamps have been pretty good, but obviously all of this pales in comparison to the hype that is the Easy A's for AGL Gohan and INT LR Cell. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I know everyone's disappointed that they didn't come out at the same time. Hopefully there'll be a lot more information and we'll know what's going on after the maintenance, but unfortunately until then we just have to wait and see. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.